Hi guys, welcome back to math. Today we're going to be working on Wednesday's packet. So if you open up your packet to Wednesday, March 25th, we're going to start there. And of course, just like always, you'll need your pencil as well. All right, so the very first problem says, a few different companies were competing against each other for the most books sold in a week. So there you can see Amazon's total books sold, Target's, Barnes & Noble's, and Borders. If Scholastic Books came in fourth place, how many books could they have sold? So your job for this problem is to figure out a number, and there's a lot of possibilities that would make sense for Scholastic Books and the total number that they sold if they came in first place. So already you should be thinking in your head, what do you need to do first in order to figure out a possible number? Hopefully, you've thought that you need to make sure that you put these numbers that you have in order from the biggest number to the smallest number, representing the most books sold to the least books sold. Then you should be able to figure out if Scholastic Books came in fourth, how many books they sold. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to solve the problem. Go ahead. Take about another 20 seconds. All right, we're going to pause here. So, like we talked about before, the first thing that you should do is order these numbers from the stores that sold the most books to the least books. So, hopefully you figured out that Barnes & Noble, I'm going to call that B and N, sold the most at 72,990. So, we're going to cross those off. The next store that sold the most was Amazon. So, we're going to put an A for Amazon. So, that's 34,579. And then Target, T for Target, 12,872. And then finally, B for Borders, 8,900. Awesome. So now that we've ordered the numbers, we can figure out which stores came in first place, second place, third place, and fourth place. And clearly we see here, this is first, second, third, and fourth place. But now Scholastic Books also came into this competition, and they came in fourth place, which means that they came between Target and Borders. So that means that their answer, and there's a lot of possibilities, I'm going to draw a quick little number line here, needs to be somewhere between these scores, because that would be fourth place. Barnes & Noble is still in first, Amazon still in second, Target is still in third, but Scholastic Books would be in fourth place, leaving Borders in last. So that means that their score would have to be between Borders and Target, so between 8,901 and 12,872. There are roughly almost like 4,000 numbers, that could be a possible answer. Any number that would fall between here. So hopefully you came up with a number that's bigger than 8,901 and smaller than 12,872. I always like to choose numbers that are groups of 10 or groups of hundreds. It's just easier for me that way. So one number I could do would be 8,910 because that's bigger than 8,901 and smaller than 12,872. I could also say the number 12,000 because that is bigger than 8,901 and that's smaller than 12,872. Like I said, there's close to 4,000 possibilities, so hopefully your answer would fall between these two numbers on the number line. If this was confusing for you, just give it a circle and you can talk about it with your teacher when you check in this week. All right, the next two questions here for number 2 are asking us to round the following numbers to the nearest 100. So take about a minute or two or so to round these numbers to the nearest 100. You can use a number line to show your work, but if you think you know it in your head using mental math, you can go ahead and write the number down that you would round to. You can take about 10 more seconds. Okay, 657. If I'm rounding this to the nearest 100, I need to have a starting point and an end point that is a group of 100. So 657, my starting point would be 600, and my end point would be 700. I always need to figure out the midpoint. Because the total distance is 100, that means my midpoint is going to be 650. Because from 600 to 650, that's adding 50. From 650 to 700, that's also adding 50. So that's right in the middle. Now I'm thinking about where 657 comes between. Does it come between 600 and 650 or 650 and 700? And the answer is 650 and 700. It's actually somewhere around here. So if I started at 600 and went to my point here, and I need to make sure that I label it 657, I would be adding 57. And then if I went from 657 to 700, I would be adding 43. 57 and 43, that equals 100, my total distance. Now, 657, it's closer to 700 because it's only 43 steps or jumps away instead of being 57 jumps to 600. So I would round to 700. This next one is the number 3,239. So if I was rounding to the nearest 100, my starting point would be 3,200 and my end point would be 3,300 with a total distance of 100. My midpoint halfway between would be 3,250. And just like the last problem, I need to think about where does this number come between 3,200, 3,000, and 3,250 or 3,250 and 3,300. Hopefully you figured out that it comes between these points, somewhere around here, 3,239. Now if I started at 3,200 and I wanted to get to 3,239, I would be adding 39. And if I went from 3,239 to 3,300, I would be adding 61. 39 and 61, that makes 100, which is my total distance here. So 3,239 is closer to 3,200. So I would be rounding down to 3,200 because it's only 39 jumps away instead of 61 jumps away. Awesome. Any questions about rounding, especially when my numbers are getting bigger, like in this problem? Circle it. Make sure you touch base with your teacher. All right. This last problem is going to require you to do a key and also require you to use a strategy that works for you to solve. Max loves to collect bugs. He has 48 different species of beetles. Max wants to put 8 beetles in each box. How many boxes does he need? Write a number sentence and use a strategy to solve. I'm going to push you to use a key just like we did in yesterday's video, making sure you understand what these numbers represent, and that way you'll be able to write an appropriate number sentence. Go ahead, take a couple minutes to do that. Take about 10 more seconds. Okay, so while you were working, I set up my key here. Now, 48 here represents the total number of beetles. And from the problem, it says that Max wants to put 8 beetles in each box. So 8 represents the number, and you can even just keep it nice and simple, the number in each box. And the question mark represents the number of boxes. This is talking here about my groups. I know the total. I know how many go into each group, but I do not know my groups. So this is an equal group problem where I'm taking a number, a total number, and I'm splitting it into an equal number of groups. So my number sentence would be 48 divided by 8 equals question mark. Now, because this problem, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the rest of my board. Because in this problem, you're missing the number of groups, I'm going to use the same strategy that we went over yesterday. And that strategy is drawing out the total number, your total number in circles, and then circling the 8 in each group in order to figure out how many groups. So, start off by drawing out my circles. Remember, I talked yesterday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that I draw mine in groups of 10 to keep everything neat and organized. I'm really big on staying organized as a mathematician because that way you're not going to make any careless mistakes. You're not going to double count a circle. You're going to make sure you have the correct number of circles. And so staying nice and neat and organized will help you do that. Awesome. So hard for you to see, so let me zoom out a little bit. So here you go, are your 48 circles. And so now I have to circle 8 in each group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that represents one box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Two boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Three boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, right here. Four boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Five boxes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Six boxes. So we just figured out through this strategy that we would need 6 boxes in order to take my 48 beetles and put 8 of them in each box. Great. I would like you to turn to the next page of your packet, and I would like you to take the next 30 seconds to answer question 4 and question 5. Go ahead. About 15 more seconds, half your time. Playing with the camera. Okay. So the first problem says to write the next number if you are counting by hundreds. So that means that the hundreds place is changing. There happens to be a 9 there. So when I'm getting one more, that means I have to regroup. So instead of the number being 678,900, if I added 100, it would be 679,000. Hopefully you got that. And number 5 says write the next number if you count by 1,000. So that means the thousands place is changing. So 678,900 becomes 679,900. The hundreds, tens, and ones are smaller place values, so they're going to stay the same. Awesome. Now this next problem is asking us to find the sum of 135, 82, 15, and 29. Take a second to think about what does that word sum mean? It's one of those math words that's telling you what you have to do. Hopefully you figured out that sum means you have to find the total. So you're not going to find the total of all 4 numbers at the same time, but instead I would like to see you adding 2 numbers at a time using a strategy that works for you. So take about a minute to a minute and a half to figure out the sum of these 4 numbers using a strategy that works for you. Go ahead. Take another 20 seconds. Okay, we're gonna pause right there and we're gonna go over this. So whenever you're adding numbers together, especially when you're adding more than one number together, more than two numbers, of course, you should be looking for numbers that if you add together would make a friendly group of 10, which means you're looking at the digits in the ones place. So here we have 5, 2, 9, and 5. Now, because 5 plus 5 makes 10, I'm actually going to add 135 and 15 together because that's going to be a little bit easier for me to have a friendly number that ends in 0. So I'm adding these two numbers first, crossing them out in my number sentence so I keep track of what I'm adding. 5 plus 5 we know is 10, so I have 0 ones. I regroup my 10 ones into the tens place. 1 plus 3 is 4, and one more makes 5. And then I have one group of 100, so far I have 150. My next step is I have to add the remaining two numbers. I have 82 and 29. So I add my ones. 2 plus 9 is 11. That means I have 1, 1, and then I have to regroup 10 of my ones into the tens place because 10 ones has the same value as 10. Then I add my tens. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 2, that equals 11. So that means I have one group of 10. I regroup my 10 tens into the hundreds place because 10 tens has a value of 100. 1 plus 0 is 1. So I have 150 here and 111 there. So I need, in order to answer this problem and figure out the sum of these four numbers, I need to add these two answers together, starting with my largest number, 150, and adding 111 to it. 0 plus 1 is 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. 1 plus 1 is 2. So the sum of those four numbers is 261. Now, I use the algorithm because I feel like it's a really great strategy to practice and for us to get better at, but base 10 blocks can also work. A number line could also work. Whatever strategy you're most comfortable with, please make sure you use that. If this was challenging or anything that we've gone over so far, please make sure you circle it so you can talk about it with your teacher. And we have one last problem that has two parts to it. So let's take a look at the first one. It says to draw an array to match these expressions and then solve. So this first expression, which is another fancy word for number sentence, is 4 times 8. We're going to do this first one together, and then I'm going to have you do the second one by yourself before we go over it. So 4 times 8 means 4 groups of 8. So what I like to do is, just so that I'm understanding it, is I also like to write the repeated addition number sentence. Now the directions didn't ask you to do this, but it helps me make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So 4 groups of 8 means 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 equals something. But I have to draw an array, which means somehow I need to show 4 groups with 8 in each. So I can either have 4 rows with 8 in each, or I could have 4 columns with 8 in each. I'm going to do 4 rows with 8 in each. So that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my first row, and I have 8 in each. And now I'm going to do my second one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my second row, or my second group with 8 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my third row with 8 in each. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, clearly this is a little bit slanted just because of how I'm writing this, but you can see that it's neat, it's organized, I have space between my circles, and I can clearly see that this is an array that has 4 rows with 8 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now that I have my array, I'm able to solve. So I can count each of these by ones, or I can count each of them by groups of 4, or I can count each of them by groups of 8. We've been practicing counting by 4s in our classes, so why don't we do that? So this is a group of 4, so 4 plus 4 would be 8, plus 4 would be 12, plus 4 would be 16, plus 4 would be 20, 4 would be 24, 4 more would be 28, and 4 more would be 32. So 4 times 8 equals 32. I want you to do the next one by yourself. You need to draw an array to match this expression, 3 times 9, and then solve. So go ahead, take about a minute or so, and draw that array and then solve, and we'll go over the answer. Take about 10 more seconds. Okay, so if I was to draw an array to match this problem, I need to show 3 groups of 9. So I'm going to draw, just like I did last time, 3 rows with 9 in each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, notice that my circles are relatively the same size and that there's space between them, making it really organized and neat. So I have one group of 9. Now I need to draw my second group of 9. And finally, my last group of 9, my third group. So still a little slanted, sorry about that. But as you can see, we have 3 groups, 1, 2, 3, with 9 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this array matches the problem. You also could have done 9 rows with 3 in each. That would also represent the problem. Now, in order for us to solve, we should count by 3s. You can see your group of 3 right there. So 3 more makes 6, 3 more makes 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. So 3 times 9 equals 27. So that's all I have for you for math today. If you have any questions at all about any of these problems or anything in general about math, please make sure you talk about it with your teacher when you connect with them the next time. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will have another video for you tomorrow.